Everybody, Cindy Daychuck here with Queen Bee Creations. Thanks for joining me today. Today is, in essence, a really small project. I thrifted this cute little plant stand. I mean, you could use this as a little side table as well. You know, perfect. Just put your coffee cup on. Harder for the dog to knock it over. But you know what? I thrifted this for $8. And it is worth it. I mean, the wood is in great shape. The only issue with it is that the finish is gone. It's all water damaged. It's kind of worn off in flakes, both top and bottom. And so people ditch it. But oh my gosh, look at the patina. Look at the patina on this. We are not painting that. I love that. So what I wanted to do today is more just show a really cool, fast, beautiful little natural finish that you can give wood. And this is a trick you can use for any of your wood. Just a great way of creating a really beautiful wood stain. You can see that this has got a little bit of dark color to it already in terms of wood. I'm not good at knowing what wood this is, but I know that we can bring beauty back to it, and it's going to be a beautiful functional piece. And you know what? Really, all that we got to do is some sanding. So I am going to, I've got my orbital sander is too big for this. So I've got my little mouse sander here. I'm going to get masked up, and I am just going to be sanding this. So I'm going to start with, what have I got here? Probably 60. Yes. So I'm starting with a 60 grit, see what I can get off and get it smooth. And then I will work up to about a 200, 240 before we start sanding. And so the only thing I'm going to be doing before we start staining, all I'm going to be doing is sanding this and then washing all the dust off. I mean, the metal needs a good cleaning too, but there was no point in doing that before I sand because I'm going to have to clean it all again. So I'm going to do the dirty, noisy part, but it is as simple as trying to get this into all those little grooves. And this, because I've got the edging and the little pointy tip, is a lot easier to get that happening than the orbital sander. Doesn't mean I'm not going to have to use just my hand and some sandpaper in some spots, I'm sure, but we're not talking a big sanding job here. I hope. This baby is as sanded as it's going to get. One of the things with this base piece is that they're different wood, and you can see how much orange just wipes off of this. It was kind of a mess. But this isn't going to be a super expensive piece by any means. So the fact that a lot of this is kind of like almost plywood and a mix of some really thin trim bending in there, and obviously an entirely different kind of wood. You can see the tonal differences. I'm not going to sweat. It's one of those things that, let me try staining it, and if they look completely different, I always have the option of painting. But we're really not investing a lot of money in the stain, so it's not a big deal. If I can keep it natural wood, I will. But here's what we're gonna do. I have a kettle of some boiling water here. I have a container for mixing, and I have, from the dollar store, some instant coffee. And so we are, oh, Lord, okay. So I'm not a coffee drinker. If you are a coffee drinker and you make a big pot and you've got leftover coffee, you can use that. I am not a coffee drinker. I don't have leftover coffee. So I just have coffee in the shop to be able to make stain. So we are just mixing that up with some hot water, and then I can keep using this until it's gone, right? So what I like to do is just mix it up fairly thin and then just apply it on. Now, this is wet, so it's actually looking darker than it will when it's dry. But because it's just water-based, it's just gonna kind of soak into the water. And know that it will dry lighter than when you seal it. But I can do multiple coats. So always better to kind of go a bit of a thinner coat, let it dry, apply it, let it dry, and then just apply again. But coffee ends up being, I mean, you can use tea also. It gives a slightly different look. Coffee has a little bit more of a golden hue to it with the wood. Coffee gives a little bit more of a flat, tea gives a little bit more of a flat brown look to it. But I find often if somebody has a really old piece and they aren't looking to refinish all of it, maybe just the top, and it's all been that old varnish and kind of that golden brown kind of look, coffee ends up matching that really nicely. So you can see that on this raw wood, it's just soaking right in. So what I will do is, look how fast that is do probably at least 2 coats. I'll let this all dry completely, probably apply another coat before I go home so that it can dry fully overnight, and then take a look at it in the morning and see if I want another coat on it. And you can just keep going with the coats until you have it as you like it. Yeah, you can see that base that's going a little bit more golden. So what I might try doing is mixing up a much stronger batch for the bottom. Or maybe I'll end up just doing a lot more coats on the bottom, right? You've got complete flexibility with this. But that's it. I don't even have to worry about getting it on the metal because it's just coffee, right? So I'm gonna leave this, a couple of spots I missed. I'm just going to leave this to soak in and dry. And here's the other thing, it doesn't smell like coffee when it's done. So I'm just gonna leave it to dry and apply another coat, and we'll take a look at it tomorrow. But coffee, beautiful stain, guys. We have, you know what, I'm trying to think. I think maybe there is 5 thin coats on this. Now, the one thing that I did do, this is just the coffee. See how it's got that kind of caramel tone to it, right? This one is a little bit darker because this was turning out too orangey. They were kind of like 2 different color woods and it looked a little bit weird. I've got them pretty close, I think, so I'm happy with this and I'm gonna let it go. But what I did do is I took a little tinge of Dark and Decrepit, which is a dark patina from DIY, and I added that to it just to brown this out a little bit. You could have just used a little drop of brown paint in there. So, you know, kind of go with what you got. But I just tried to bring the colors a little closer together. And all that's left to do on this is to seal it. And so I know this wasn't a big deal refinishing, right? I didn't do a fancy paint technique. Really, I just wanted to show you the beauty of using some natural ingredients as some of your stains. Okay, customer. So all that we're doing now is sealing. And I have chosen to use Big Top by DIY. I am doing this, I mean, you could wax anything that you've stained, you could wax instead of using a sealer, but because this is going to be a plant stand, and we know that there was already, you know, some wear on the finish because of plant leakage and stuff, we might as well go with that and put on, you know, a stronger top coat than wax. I love wax finishes, but for something that you know is going to get constantly wet, probably not the way to go. So I'm going to get a couple of coats of top coat on this. I'm not going to settle for just one, but I'll come back when it's all done and we can take a look. And here's our finished little table. Now, this was not a huge project to undertake. And the reason I chose to show this to you as one of the videos, I mean, obviously to show you the use of something like coffee as a stain. It doesn't always have to be an expensive stain that you're buying from any particular product line. Sometimes the stains are right in your own kitchen. And it's a beautiful, rich color that again gets darker as you apply more and more coats. It's really, the number of coats is really dependent upon how strong you made the coffee in the first place, obviously. But this is a cute little piece. It's been given new life. I love that, you know, in terms of flipping something that might end up in a landfill. I would hope this was cute enough that somebody else would have picked it up from a thrift store, if only to be able to paint it. But I also wanted to show you guys that not everything has to be a really involved finish. It doesn't have to take a lot of work to be able to fix up an item that is in your own home or something that you come across flipping, and to be able to make a profit if you were a reseller. In fact, you make a better profit the less work that you have to put into a piece, obviously, unless it's a piece that can command a higher price with whatever time and materials you put into it. This was a cute little makeover. We used a natural product to be able to refinish it, so there wasn't a lot of expense going into this. The top coat I already had, sandpaper I already had, coffee, even though I don't drink it, I already had. So just something to keep in mind when you're looking at things either in your home or in a thrift store. Thinking in terms of how quickly can I turn that around? How quickly can I make that over? What are the materials that I need? Do I have something in my own home that I could use rather than hitting the hardware for yet another product? I'm a big advocate for use what you've got, and that's all that this little piece needed were items that I already had on hand. I hope that gives you some perspective or some new ways of being able to look at something. And really, if you'd never heard of using coffee as a stain, I hope it opens you up to that possibility. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Tell me what you think of this one, guys. Until then, take care.